Hi, welcome back to my story time with Nana. I have a whole new story for you. These grandma tales, they're getting pretty good. Let's begin. Grandma Tales, Mrs. Coppola. Penelope looked so forward to going to work with Mommy to listen to the stories from the residents. They were all from a long time ago and seemed like fairy tales. On this day, Penelope found a woman sitting on a bench in the garden. It was a sunny day. She wore a big floppy hat. "Hello," Penelope said, walking up behind her. The woman turned her head and smiled. Her smile was as bright as the day and reached right up to her eyes. It was as if her whole face smiled. Penelope liked her instantly. "Well, hello. What do we have here?" "Hi, my name's Penelope," she answered. "I thought you might like some company." "Really?" the woman said. "I thought perhaps you came to sell me a flower." "You know that I'm selling flowers?" "Word is you like a good story," Mrs. Coppola answered. "Come have a seat with me, and I'll tell you about the Jersey Shore when I was your age." Penelope sat beside Miss Coppola on the bench. "Summer was the best time for me," she started. "Once school was out, my family would go down the shore to Ocean City for a whole week. It was always the first shore trip of the summer. Now, throughout the summer, we would go to the shore for the weekends, like to Cape May, Wildwood, Point Pleasant, and Seaside, but we always started our summer at Ocean City. This story is about my most remarkable summer. I was a little older than you are now. I was 12. Now, preparing to go down the shore was a feat, especially with 6 children and 5 of them being rambunctious boys. My mother made sure we had everything we would need for the week in Ocean City. Food, games, towels, the basics. I was responsible for making sure my brothers and I had our clothes and bathing suits packed. That was challenging because my brothers didn't care what they packed. They would have been just as happy to have only their bathing suits. My father's job was loading up the car and making sure nothing or no one got left behind. Like I said, it was challenging, but we'd been doing it for several years, so we were getting better at making sure we had everything we would need for our week in Ocean City. That summer, my father rented a house only 2 blocks from the beach. We were excited to be so close to the water. The first day of vacation was a busy one. We had to unpack the car, fight over who was sleeping where, and then dress for dinner. We always went out to dinner on the first night. My father's favorite place was called the Chatterbox. It was a big pink building and big enough for our whole family. After dinner, we walked to the boardwalk and my father brought us all an ice cream cone. That summer, when we got back, we saw our neighbors moving in. I was always looking for friends to play with, and it looked like there was a girl sitting on the porch. I waved. She didn't wave back. Oh well, I thought. The next morning, we headed down to the beach. My brothers and I carried blankets and towels. Mom filled the picnic basket with sandwiches and drinks. My father led the way. He always knew the best place to set up our blankets and towels. The boys ran for the water the moment we got there. And soon the beach began filling up with other families. That's how it was every year. Every summer was the same. Sitting on the beach, walking on the boardwalk, swimming in the water, scavenging under the boardwalk. Oh, the scavenging. One of the best things about going to Ocean City was the boardwalk. It had shops and arcades and places to get food and ice cream. But my brothers and I loved going under the boardwalk. We would walk under the boardwalk digging for treasure. You see, people walking on the boardwalk would occasionally drop change, and it would fall through the boards. Now, we didn't find a lot of money most days, but sometimes we would find bottles and turn them in for the deposit and get a nickel or a dime. And then we would run up and buy candy. Two things happened that summer. One was kind of scary, and the other was really great. The first thing that happened on the second day of our vacation. My brothers and I were under the boardwalk looking for bottles and change, and there was another kid under the boardwalk looking for change, too. She was a little older than me. She gave me a look, and she told me she didn't want me to get anywhere near her. I was in her spot. I told her that no one had a spot under the boardwalk, and I was going to keep looking right where I was, and she couldn't stop me. I should have never said that. She got so angry and started yelling at me. Oh my brothers came running over to see what was happening. And well, that girl took a stance, put her fist up. I couldn't believe it. She was a girl and she was trying to fight them. It was kind of scary. But my oldest brother, Bill, told everyone, calm down, calm down. Leave the girl alone. We could walk a little further down the beach and search there. I think he just didn't want to get beaten up. She looked pretty tough. When we got back to our blanket on the beach, I told my mother what had happened. She wondered if it was the girl staying in the house next to ours. Was she taller than me? Did she have short, curly blonde hair? She did, I told my mother. She told me she was certain it was the same girl and maybe we could do some things together while we were here on vacation. I told my mother there was no way I was spending time with her. I told my mother she was a bully and I didn't want anything to do with her. When we got back to the house later that day, I noticed the bully, now that's how I thought of her, was sitting on the front porch of the house right next to ours. There was no way I was going to go out of my way to be nice to her. She didn't look like she had a nice bone in her body. But that evening, while my mother and I sat swinging on the front porch of our house, my mother told me that sometimes when people act mean or tough, it's because they're afraid or nervous. And the right thing to do was to be nice and show kindness. I tried to argue that she had started it by being mean under the boardwalk. All my protests got me nowhere. My mother walked over to that house, and I could hear her talking to a woman at the door. I couldn't believe my ears. She was inviting the bully to spend the day at the beach with us. What was she thinking? When she walked back, she told me that Marie, that was her name, would be coming to the beach with us tomorrow for the day. What was my mother trying to do? Ruin my vacation? Well, the next day we walked to the beach and Marie, the bully, followed along. And I'm pretty sure she knew I didn't want her with us. When my father picked our spot, my mother took me aside and told me to be kind to Marie. I don't think anyone has ever been nice to her, my mother told me. Please don't let her think everyone is mean. Show her some kindness. I looked at my mother in wonder. What was she talking about? Marie was the meanie. But there was something in my mother's eyes that said she knew what she was talking about. So that day, the third day of our vacation, I spent it swimming and collecting shells with Marie. We even walked under the boardwalk to see if we could find any change together. And when it was just me and Marie, she was pretty nice. Now, when the boys were around, she acted tough. But then I could see what my mom was talking about the other night. She looked a little nervous. She looked a little scared when there were a lot of people around. We spent the rest of our days together at the beach, and she even came over at night and had dinner with us and played board games. Now, she and I were different. I liked dressing pretty and playing with dolls and dancing, and Marie liked fixing things and playing sports and reading. But we still found some things in common. We both liked chocolate ice cream, actually anything chocolate. We didn't like pickles. We both knew how to whistle. We could both swim, skate, and sew. And really, it was kind of nice having a girl to hang out with. Soon it was the day before we were to leave. Our last day on the beach. Marie and I swam, collected seashells, and then spent most of the afternoon under the boardwalk again looking for money. We were ready to head back to the blanket when Marie cried out, Look what I found! Now, I thought it was a quarter by the way she was yelling, but it wasn't a quarter. It was $1, a whole dollar. I told her she was so lucky and she could probably buy whatever she wanted with all that money. And then she said the sweetest thing. I'll never forget it. She said she wished she could buy a family like mine. Oh, I remember feeling bad for her, that she didn't like her family. Well, I mean, she must not have liked them very much because she spent the whole week with mine. Come on, let's go up to Shriver's and get an ice cream cone, she said. After we got our chocolate ice cream cones, we sat on the bench and watched the families on the beach. I don't have a mother, Anna, she said matter-of-factly. I didn't know what she was saying at first, and then I realized she had spent the whole week with us, all day, all night. She only went to her house to sleep. I'm here with the orphanage, she told me, how she had grown up in an orphanage since she was a baby, and that once a year the orphanage brought some of the children to the shore. I felt so sorry for Marie. No wonder she was different, quiet, nervous, scared. She was all alone in the world. Let's head back to the beach, I said. I was feeling sad. I wanted my mother. We finished our ice cream and headed back. My mother was smiling when we came back together. You both have chocolate mustaches, she said, wiping Marie's mouth. Why the long face, Hannah? Aren't you having a good day? I think I've ruined her day, Marie told her. My mother patted the blanket and Marie and I sat beside her, and that's when the really great thing happened. My mother told us that we had come to Wildwood that summer to complete our family. You see, I always wanted a sister, and Marie was going to be my new sister. My mother had planned for us to meet and had insisted that I spend time with Marie, to become friends with Marie, maybe even love her as my own sister. We brought Marie home with us that summer, and she became a Coppola. Now, it wasn't always easy. We had our arguments, but like all sisters do, we were okay. That summer was the best summer. The summer I was 12. The summer I got a sister. Oh, Mrs. Coppola, that was a beautiful story. Marie was lucky to get a family, Penelope said. Oh, no, I was lucky to get a sister, Mrs. Coppola told her. I think I'll choose the green flower. It will remind me of the dollar that Marie found that day when she became my sister. Thank you for the story, Penelope said, giving her a hug. I loved it. Penelope found her mother waiting for her in the lobby. Did you hear a good story today? I did. Mrs. Coppola told me about the summer she got a sister. Huh, Mommy said. I guess today is as good as any to tell you that next summer you'll have a sister too. She patted her belly. Penelope jumped up and down. A real sister? Can we name her Marie? And Mother started laughing. How about we wait till she gets here before we pick a name? The end. I hope you enjoyed tonight's story. I loved it. Don't forget to share my stories, and I'll see you next week. Mwah.